How's it going, everybody? Desir here, and we are looking at the Cosmic Crucibles 15 and War Season 9 upcoming rules. I haven't looked at these. I don't know what we're going to be expecting. I know there's data mines for the Season 15. We'll see if those were actually accurate or if there were any changes to those. I'm going to be looking at chat as well during this. I don't have chat pulled up, but I'll kind of read off and see what our thoughts are in each of the rooms and see how the upcoming season's going to end up being. Now, we're finished up Season 14. We're going to have that U16, and then we're going to go into Season 15 after that, I believe, is how it's going to end up going, as we see right here. Let's get started. The Ultimate 16 Cosmic Crucible Tournament kicks off soon, along with the Season 15 of Crucible and a new Alliance War season. Today, we're covering those details so you can begin strategizing. So for Season 15, matchmaking for Season 15 begins May 21st. Yeah, we're going to have that 1 week of the U16, then it's going to go into the Season 15. The trial begins May 23rd, which is a weekend. It looks like they're keeping the weekend stuff. I really hate the weekend stuff. Important note, the start time for Cosmic Crucible is changing to 1 p.m. Pacific, starting with Season 15. That helps me, considering I work at 5 p.m., so that gives me a chance to actually do the streaming on Fridays. Keep this update in mind as you execute your attacks. We'll also see if they actually remember to code it this way, or if they forget, or maybe they'll put it at like 1 a.m. instead of p.m. We'll see what decimal point Jeff is feeling that day. Global roles. Omens of Danger on defense and offense. Harbinger characters. So that's going to end up being our Vigilante and Thunderbolts team. On a successful hit, if the primary target has trauma, perform an ISO attack against the target. Who has trauma on that team? Silver Sable, I think, is just an offense, isn't it? Does Songbird have trauma outside of raids? I'll have to double check. I don't think this is going to be that impactful. It's just like if they have the not vulnerable, but the exposed. When they did the exposed, you get the extra ISO attack. I think it's going to be like that, where it's just there. It's a bonus thing, but nothing to really lean into with this one. Songbird ult gives trauma. Okay, so that is. I was thinking that was just in. Oh, that's also with the full team also. So we can't really like break it up. So that might be something in that stage 5. I don't know. On defense, all characters, nothing changing on here. Of course it is. Yeah, right. Stage 1, combat support. We had this one before, and I don't remember if Thanos Endgame actually is able to take advantage of this portion if he gets pushed. You basically want a character that's going to survive long enough to get all those vulnerables, and then they end up punching them back with the extra damage. But just as a reminder, Fortifier and Healer characters on hit apply +1 vulnerable up to 20. Striker on hit apply +3 vulnerable up to +20. The big thing about Striker is if you hit them, it applies vulnerable, you get your free ISO hit. So this is technically a +2 vulnerable, which is usually how you end up setting this room up. Get everybody on Striker so that we can really take advantage of this. On other characters on hit apply +2 vulnerable up to +20. All characters when attacking. So that's where the question comes in. If Thanos Endgame, when his passive procs, if this counts as attacking, I believe it does, which would also apply to, say, like Omega Sentinel on her out-of-turn pings, maybe Peggy Carter on her out-of-turn pings, but Peggy's easy to kind of get around with that team. Gain plus 100% damage per vulnerable on the attacking character. On end of turn, clear vulnerable on this character. So as far as chat goes with this, what are you guys feeling? I think this is going to be maybe a Night Stalkers team where you can kind of take advantage of the Striker for Blade. You can probably set everybody to Striker on there, so that way you can get those massive hits off. Thanos Endgame Annihilators probably can end up doing decent work in here, but then you're going to kind of leave them open to Immortal X-Men and stuff like that, so I don't know how much theory crafting we're going to really have. I think it's going to really come down to Annihilators, Thanos. Maybe the Night Stalkers, like Nightcrawler type of thing as well, could end up working in here. Stage 2 aggroed. On defense and offense, all characters. On turn, if this character has taunt, gain offense up. On turn, apply assist now to all allies with offense up. This one here is what you're really going to lean into. Use characters like Mephisto, where he can give offense up to the team. Guardian gives offense up on spawn, so you can really mess around with that. Or if you want, throw Vigilante in here. Daredevil Moderate's going to end up having the taunt, gives him the assist now with offense up. He's going to have that safeguard with the full team, so when Silver Sable does that ultimate, there's going to be an assist. So you can probably play around with making Silver Sable a striker, Daredevil Modern as a skirmisher, so you can take that triple tap on everybody. I think that could be something that you could really lean into. Hit Monkey, he does the out of turn damage as well. I think his special gives offense up to the entire team, so you can really play around with that as well. So I think Vigilante could be a pretty strong team in this room. The Global Trauma room is so dumb. Yeah, only Hit Monkey and Songbird. That's what I thought. It's not a lot of characters that you can really lean into for that. Full Eternals would be fun. Yeah, for sure. Stage 3. Let's talk more about stage 2. So if you want to not use Vigilante, I think Guardian as a tool, whether it's on offense or defense, is going to play a big key in there. Like I said, Mephisto, if he does his pact, I believe gets offense up, so that's going to be a lot of assists there. That's going to leave it open to where you're going to be pulling your opponent's null. I don't really see a lot of other characters. I think you could play around with this enough now that it's been a few seasons since we end up having this. Just lean into the offense up more than the taunt. But me personally, I'm thinking Vigilante is going to be the big team that we're going to be throwing in here for now. Stage 3, Negative Energy. This one's pretty interesting. So specials cost 4 less. On successful critical hit, reduce the target's ultimate by 1. This is going to be a Kahori on offense room. Kahori is going to be able to special every single turn. So it's Maker Raider, that's going to be crit. You're going to be draining that ultimate ability energy. I think that's going to be the key that we're going to be leaning into in here. Because that big AoE hit, you're going to be critting, pulling the ultimates away. So you're going to do passive shot, special when it goes to the next turn, ultimate special. It's going to be nasty with Kahori in here, I think. Kahori Rim 3 again. Yeah, that's really what I think is going to end up happening in here. Other teams that you could end up throwing in here. Defense, probably throw your Black Knight in here to stop Kahori. So you're going to want to do a Black Knight team. And then if you do that, they're not going to use Kahori here. Then they'll probably end up using like their own Immortal X-Men in here to try to stop that. So you could pull your Immortal that way. I think that's going to be the big thing. I'll probably use my Black Knight in here, use my Kahori on offense. Or double up and just use Kahori and Black Knight. That's really going to pull the Immortal, but I don't think that's going to be worth it. Yeah, I'll do Kahori offense, Black Knight defense, and see what support I can throw around him for that is what I'll most likely do in this room. Stage 4, Spore attacks. On defense and offense, all characters do damage that reduces the max health of the target by the same amount. It's basically the Mephisto effect. Everything he does, like the max damage. Xavier has that portion as well. However, they're going to be gaining 50% max health and damage. On ally death, barrier for 100% of that character's max health. With the extra 50% max health, that's pretty interesting. Teams that could end up working in here, high damage teams is what I'm looking at. So what we have right now, Night Stalkers, fast, high burst damage. Vigilante would be interesting in this room. They actually hit fairly hard with Silver Sable. Daredevil Modder does pretty good damage. Hit Monkey outer turn damage. I'm wondering if that would end up doing the max health damage reduction as well. Getting barrier when one of their allies dies, like Elektra, who dies and can come back. That could be interesting. So Vigilante, I think, could be an option in here. Kahori, Black Knight, Medusa, Shadow King, Ancient One for room 3. That would be interesting. That would be interesting for sure. This one I think we could actually play around with. Getting the extra health, getting the extra damage, and doing the reduction. So healing won't be a factor at all. You just want big burst damage. Beard of Monitor takes a pretty big beating. Extra health on him, he hits hard. But then we're not going to be able to use Vigilante in 2. I think I might use Night Stalkers, Nightcrawler in here, Kahori or Black Knight in 3, Vigilante in 2. Annihilator's 1 right now. Alright, so my OBS decided to freak out, so we're gonna talk about stage 5 again. Yeah, so stage 5, before the Thunder, on defense and offense, Thunderbolt characters. When this character is attacked, generate 1 ability energy, gain 100% crit chance, and 300% extra focus. So this one here is basically trying to make Thunderbolts a thing. The issue is we're not going to have a lot of stars on them. We're about to end up having Songbird come out. Then when the season starts, that will give us Hyperion. They're going to be very low stars. I don't know how impactful that's going to end up being because it's not increasing their life by anything, even with the global rules, where it really gives a massive buff to the Thunderbolts. Given Songbird the trauma to where you kind of get this ISO attacks, they're going to be popping their abilities off a whole lot more. But when we were testing them out in War on the test server, they weren't that great. So we're going to have to see if they actually translate over. If they gave them some form of survivability, that could end up being something. But I don't see this rim being that impactful. I think we're still going to throw Thunderbolts on defense in here, just so we can have something in here. Otherwise, we're just going to treat this as a dead room to where there's really nothing that we're going to end up doing in here. As far as what people are saying, Professor X Thunderbolt's 4-piece at the moment. Even then, I mean, there's not going to be a pre-taunt on them, so you can just focus down that Professor X. So I don't think that's going to end up doing anything. If you put Odin in there, but then you can kind of counter Odin a little bit, because that would give Songbird the ult turn 1. That would end up causing the assist from Odin, so you can get the battlefield effect out, but it's really nothing. I don't love Stage 5. This, to me, is basically a dead room until we get the full team. Throw the full team in here, and I think they're going to be pretty easy to beat, because the only characters going to have big stars on is going to be Taskmaster and Ghost, and then we have Songbird, who's going to be a 3 or 4 star. We're going to have Hyperion at that just unlock level on there. Victoria Hand, she's so squishy, it's going to be fairly easy to beat her. If this gave raid rules, which I don't want a raid season on a full season, for a U16, U32, fine, whatever, it's 1 week of it. But for a full season, I don't want raid rules. So this is what it is. I don't love this one at all. Stage 6, Dorky's Broken Headset. This is one that Dorky and I was kind of working on together. They didn't really take the full thing I wanted on here. I basically wanted no safeguard, no trauma, and then kind of give the Silver Surfer effect, where you transfer positive effects or negative effects, depending on what you have. I think that would have been pretty cool, but this one I think is going to be pretty interesting. It's going to be kind of the room that's going to make the season, in my opinion. So defense, offense, on turn end, remove safeguard and trauma. By making it to where it actually removes it, it stops Professor X's being able to get trauma out there anyways, because it removes it at the end of the turn. And then on a successful attack, copy and clear all positive effects. Based on this wording, it looks like an AoE attack or primary and adjacent is going to do the copy clear positive effect as opposed to just the primary target, which is more powerful than what I was thinking. But I do like what they ended up doing with this. Hopefully this works as good as I think it does, to where it's going to make the season. Teams that you could end up putting in stage 6. So if you have a slow team that's able to get safeguard on spawn, that would make it to where your characters actually have the safeguard. I'm wondering if the Mephisto doing his battlefield effect that will apply the safeguard, but I don't know if it's going to remove at the end of that turn or when the actual first character ends up going for that one. If you get the Vigilante in here, Daredevil Modern has safeguard on spawn, but as soon as Silver Sable, she's a fast character, goes, that's going to remove the safeguard. I think this is interesting because it is at turn end for removing those effects. So like the opening hit isn't going to end up, it's going to protect you still on the safeguard stuff. But this is going to be interesting, I think. I like this. So that's going to be an impactful room, in my opinion. 5 is a nothing burger. 4, I think this can be something. This is going to be more of an efficiency sync room, kind of like what we had for Stage 3 Toxic. Stage 3's interesting because of the Kahori effect of using all those specials. Stage 2, I think with enough theory crafting where you can use like Guardian to get that offense up on everybody, I think that's going to end up being something in here. Because you go into with the Guardian on offense, your team's going to have offense up, and then you can just, everybody has assist now on that opening hit. So if you get a fast team, use Guardian on offense, in my opinion, and kind of roll with that. Stage 1, we had this before. I don't think it was too impactful. You might have like squeaked out a win here or there, but with the new characters we have since then, it might end up being something. So we'll kind of see what ends up happening on there. Put Fortifier in all the Thunderbolts, see what happens. Maybe for 5? I don't know. Even with the Fortifier, I mean, I don't know if that's going to protect him enough. We'll kind of see what chat ends up having to say about that. If there's anything that they have, we can kind of go back and talk about it. Did he ask you to think about Room 6 together? Yeah, so we did end up kind of working on this together. So I came up with a version of this one. Dorky had another one where it's going to be a mix of different traits, like city characters, global, and cosmic, so you kind of mix and match the room. And it looks like they went with this one, so I don't hate it. I think this is going to be pretty impactful. New war season. Let's go ahead and talk about this. So we're going to end up having Quasar by the time this rolls around. It looks like Quasar is here in the Galactic confrontation with Annihilus has just begun. Here are the rules for the Galactic confrontation. So, global rules. Plus 20% primary stats to attacking Quasar ally. On basic, attacking Quasar ally applies exposed to the target. Okay. So we can really play around with that with how many exposed we have in game. Plus 20% primary stats to defending Starjammers. So Starjammers going on defense they're trying to make. Plus 20% primary stats to attacking allies. Using one of the following defending teams will provide a plus 30% primary stats. Annihilators, Astral, Starjammers, X-Men, Infestation. So they are wanting Annihilators, Astral, Starjammers, X-Men, Infestation. So they took off the Avengers portion, because before I think we had Avengers getting the boost, and swapped it out with Starjammers, if I'm looking at that correctly. With X-Men though, Xavier on defense, getting the extra 30% primaries, gonna hurt for sure. Because you can still use Annihilators, 3-piece. No, it has to be the full team. So I don't know if there's enough to where you can really make a full X-Men team, because that leaves them open. So maybe not Xavier. I don't know. Attacking's going to have Avenger, Liberty, Absolute A-Force, Vigilante, Thunderbolt allies. So yeah, it was actually Absolute A-Force that was on defense. So they swapped Starjammer's Absolute A-Force. Is that right? Yes, this is important as well. Intel knockouts begin May 19th. So trying to get the full clear. Try to help your alliance out. Don't like hog like 14 war attacks and kind of hurt your other alliance mates. That's going to be big. So this right here also doesn't say full attacking. So you can kind of break it up for the attacking portion, but they want these full teams for defense. So Starjammers is still so not great. So I don't think putting a full Starjammers is going to be that impactful. We're going to have like G20 and some of those characters for those that's like really pushing the Xavier stuff. So I know people are bringing Starjammers on there, so they'll get the overpowered effect. But I don't think Starjammer is still a great team, even with these buffs. Annihilators is still Annihilators. Astral is a nasty team, but they're fairly easy to beat. I use Cabal APOC Kang, and that just walks over it. But people spend like benching one of the members to throw Cosmic Ghost Rider in there, so they're not getting the full stats, and that throws off that counter. So I think this is not going to change anything, in my opinion, for this. Which rooms will have the broken rolls? Certain character bugs like Ori. That is the $1 million question, Jawas. Alright, so let's go ahead and check out these rooms. So Medbay, apply 2 regeneration to defending allies. Skill allies also receive an additional 2 regeneration. This isn't anything major. Armory plus 20% to primary stats to all defending allies. Extra 20% to all skill allies. So plus 20% primary makes Armory pretty important for sure. Extra skill allies, if we look at the full team list on here for skill, Thanos Endgame, Astral has Moondragon, Starjammers has Lilandra, X-Men's Mutant Infestation, Black Widow, I think she's skill, or she's tech, but so this isn't really going to affect the full defending too much. So that gives you a little bit of wiggle room to really play with this. Securities adjacent. Apply defense down to attacking enemies. That's staying the same. Bridge. Apply plus 10 positive effects randomly to defending allies. This can definitely throw like a monkey wrench in certain things, depending on where the buffs go. Hangar is going to be adjacent. Plus 15% barrier to defending allies. Extra 15% to skill allies. Yeah, that's okay, I guess. Reactor, apply disrupt to attacking enemies. The disrupt does end up throwing off certain counters like Underworld, because Taskmaster getting the buffs on there for Underworld team, stuff like that. Barracks adjacent, apply offense up to defending allies. Tech allies get an additional offense up. So that would give Howard the Duck an additional offense up. Rocket Raccoon an additional offense up. Who else is tech that's up here? The Spider-Man Big Time is tech for the infestation portion. No tech in Astral. No tech in Annihilators. Okay. Nothing major there. Even if you end up factoring in Absolute A-Force, the 3-piece, they're not tech or skill. So that's really nothing. You can mix and match with Astral Annihilators on defense. Can you actually do that? Because I read this as you have to have the full team of, say, Annihilators, the full team of Astral. If you can mix and match these, maybe that will get you something interesting. Karube, plus 10% to the primary stats to all defending allies. On a successful hit, defending skill allies with regeneration apply bleed. That's interesting and new, so can you play around with that? Defending allies, that's skill. That's going to help Starjammers out with Lilandra, but she goes 4th. I hate how slow she goes. They should have really boosted her speed. Thanos Endgame. So Thanos Endgame would end up applying bleed, an additional bleed, and his bleeds hurt. I don't see anything else that would really hurt that. Infestation. Again, I think Black Widow is the skill. She's skill or tech? I don't remember. I think she's skill though. Engineering, apply offense up to defending allies. That's staying the same. So overall, I don't see this really breaking anything. With the skill and tech, that has to be helping out the new team. So Thunderbolts, they have a bio Victoria Hand has a tech built into there. Taskmaster has skill baked in. Ghost has tech baked in. Is this to help out Thunderbolts on offense? That's got to be it, right? Doom is tech. Do we really count Doom? Doom is not Doom anymore. So yeah, I think this is supposed to help out Thunderbolts, but I don't see all these things helping Thunderbolts out on offense. They were not great in my testing. They're able to beat the cookie cutter teams, but once you kind of start mixing and throwing things in there, they really struggled against it. We need to see what team is coming out after Thunderbolts. I'm betting it's going to help them out. We're going to have Quasar, who's going to be a Mystic character. So maybe the following team's going to have some skill and tech baked into it to really take advantage of these skill and tech bonuses. That's my thinking on this. Otherwise, this doesn't seem like that big of a season, and they were trying to make it to where you can't really get those full clears. There was talk of that going on to where they wanted it more difficult, making war more interesting and everything, but I think the biggest thing about this is the intel. We're going to be getting the extra intel for war knockouts, war season rewards. I want to see how... I'm more interested in the intel, what intel we're going to be getting on this than these actual rooms. So I don't really see anything major with the war stuff. For the Crucible stuff, I'm interested in stage 6 to see what the community is going to come up with teams on here. 5 is going to be Thunderbolts. I don't think that's going to break anything. Stage 4, go with fast, heavy hitter characters. And don't worry about taking healers in here because you're going to have max health damage. Even with the revive, I think that really messes you up to where the revives don't take you back to the full 100% health. 3, Black Bolt on defense because Kahori on offense. Even if they try to put Kahori on defense, you can outspeed her and take her out that way. Stage 2, lean into the offense up. I'm going to use Guardian's offensive tool to really get around this. Stage 1, go striker characters so you get the double taps on every single hit. It's going to be my thinking on this, but Orcus is a tech, that's true. So you can throw Orcus on defense to take advantage of all these tech rules. I agree about that. Superior 6. Overpowered. I mean, sub 6 even on offense have been failing. They're like really leaning into like the overpowered portion. Spider Society is all skill. They can definitely take advantage of all these skill things, but I think Spider Society stock is still up there. Spider Society's on the decline, but I think they're gonna be able to take advantage of a lot of these things like the barrier, the extra offense up for Spider Society. That's going to stop more of the superior 6 counters, depending on where you place them. I think that's definitely a thing. Let me know what you guys think about the season for Cosmic Crucible and War. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this version of a video. I wanted to kind of get chat more involved to see what we all thought about all these things. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please remember to like, share, subscribe to the channel. Until next time, have one for the rest of the day.